Hey, everybody, welcome to the Jim Masters Show live entertainment, lifestyle, celebrity talk show series. This is your host, Jim Masters, reporting for duty. Thanks for stopping by, JMS. Love having you with us. And we're doing it at an earlier time today. Yes, in the afternoon, because I have a TV shoot tonight and I was on the radio earlier today. So we figured we'd do a earlier time. Again, for those that are watching live, this only means anything for the folks who follow us when the show is live. So good to have you with us, whoever you're watching, no matter what time of day it is. I realize that people watch at different times of the day. Some watch live, some watch as we archive our series on our YouTube channel, Jim Masters TV, which we love doing for all of you. There's almost 1,000 episodes you can binge watch of our series, as we mentioned during each broadcast. For the new folks that are watching who don't know, we've done almost 1,000 other episodes of this series that you can watch and enjoy with celebrity friends and guests from all different backgrounds who stop by for some of our conversations. We call these conversations versus interviews. Our interactivity with our fans and our faithful viewers called Lovities. And we always learn something new as well. Hope your day is going well. Beautiful day here at the time of this show. Live, it's about 72 degrees. Yeah, that's kind of nice. It's sunny. Beautiful. As soon as we wrap up the show, I've got a TV shoot later, but in between, we're going over to the park because we're here along the coast. For those of you who watch regularly, you know that we are here in the New York area in the United States, in the northeastern United States, along the southern New England coast between New York and Boston. And we got a little light coastal breeze. It is very, very nice. Now, our guest was up in this region in the Northeast filming a new film called Space Baby. We're going to be talking about that. It's really cool. And he was in the Boston area, actually in Waltham. And our grandparents on my mother's side hail from Boston, Massachusetts, and Waltham, and also Hartford, Connecticut, and the whole New England contingent of my mother's side of the family. My dad's side of the family, of course, the New York side. But we have relatives all over the family, yeah, basically all over the country. Our families all over the country, and in Canada and Europe and all over. And so, yeah, we're going to be talking about this really exciting new film. He's a filmmaker. He's an actor, writer, producer, director, singer himself as well. And this is really cool. We've even got a trailer. We've got a clip that we're going to show you of this exciting new movie. Rex Dean is joining us here. Now, again, if you would like to comment, interact with us, well, you can. Just subscribe to our YouTube channel, Jim Masters TV. That's the channel you're watching right now. And when you subscribe to the YouTube channel, which costs nothing, you just click the subscribe button and make sure you click the notification bell so you never miss any of our episodes. When you click the little bell icon, you'll get a notification from us about every episode, all the different times, pop-up episodes, special episodes, bonus episodes, double Lovity days, holiday themed specials, all kinds of things that we do here on our series. So make sure that you do that. Click that notification bell icon, which is next to the word subscribe on our YouTube channel. And when you do, you can actually comment while the show is on in our JMS Lovity Hall chat room. That's a chat room. You see it to the right of the YouTube screen there. And that's for our subscribers, folks who subscribe to the channel, which helps us grow and helps us continue to thrive and expand further around the world. So thanks to those of you who have done that. We really appreciate that. And you can interact with us and with each other right now. And of course, you can always give us a thumbs up, like, and leave a comment on our YouTube channel for all of the episodes you enjoy. We're very excited about telling you about Space Baby and also our very special guest, Rex Dean, coming to us originally from Colorado, but coming to us from Los Angeles, California. And you know, Space Baby, here's the question. What is your connection to the universe? It took more than 25 years, but New England's own existential sci-fi comedy, Space Baby, while they are having their incredible premiere at the iconic TCL Chinese Theater in Hollywood as part of the Dances with Films Festival. That's on June 25th. Now, Space Baby, I want to tell you a little bit about Space Baby. And this is going to be, you're going to want to, this is something you're definitely going to, isn't that cute? You got to, I mean, come on. How could you not feel good after seeing that photo, gang? But Rex is in the house. Rex is joining us. I want to tell you a little bit about the movie, and then he's going to elaborate further. Three friends must stand up to a bumbling evil nurse in order to rebuild the Holy Grail and get a new soul for Earth. Each friend looks at the universe in a unique way. 8-year-old Sam, mental man, is a scientist and staunch atheist. 6-year-old Sophia, nature girl, talks to animals as a caretaker of the earth and worships a female god of nature. 300-year-old Blue, a great ball player like Satchel Paige, the keeper of the Holy Grail before it was broken in Africa by slave traders, and practices all religions. And with the help from a squadron of ladybugs, they fight the greed, intolerance, and just plain cruelty that fascist nurse Nancy and her demonic crow represent. With Charles Brown from Trading Places, Drop Squad, Kennedy, two-time Tony nominee, Peter Wolf from the Geils Band, Andrea Kooharian, as well as Joan Tolentino-Dunton, the newcomers, Nancy Sirois and Sam Dean, Sophia Dean, Will Dean, of course, as Space Baby. The film was shot entirely in Waltham, Massachusetts, at the director's home, the surrounding forests, and the rest home next door on 35 millimeter Kodak Vision 500T film stock. And even though it was shot in 1997, before iPhones, HD cameras, and even before Facebook, Google, and even YouTube existed, the film looks as if it was shot yesterday. It's a beloved film, and the festival where it's going to be seen, Dances with Films, is a beloved festival devoted to truly independent films without the big name stars. We're going to talk about all this. It's really something quite special, and it's a lot of fun, and you're going to learn about it here on the show. So I hope everybody's doing well. Hope you guys are, there's some more shots from Space Baby. This is a really, really cool, again, movie. And this is like hot off the presses, folks. This is like brand new information we're sharing with you here on the program. So we love doing that all the time. So thanks for being with us. And now we're going to welcome our very special guest, Rex Dean, joining us from Los Angeles, California. He's getting ready for the big festival. Welcome to the show, Rex. It's a pleasure.
Hey, thanks, Jim. Thanks for having me.
The pleasure is all mine. So how are things in Los Angeles? You guys are getting ready for that big festival. It's something really special, as folks are going to get a sampling of Space Baby, huh?
Yeah, this is a great festival. It's like Sundance was 25 years ago. This is a truly indie festival. I think there's about 200 filmmakers coming, a lot of short films, some features, over 10 days. And I've never been super organized, which is why it takes so long to do things. But just today, I'm going to be picking up 300 little cards to hand out to try to get people to go to the show, and just made some big posters that I'm picking up from FedEx today. So I'm really excited.
Well, this is like 25 years in the making, roughly, for this to have come together in the way that it is now, where the public's going to get a chance to actually enjoy this film, huh?
Yeah,
What was
so
that
we shot it
process
back in
like?
1990. Well, I had a really wonderful friend from college who had become almost a billionaire on Wall Street, and he said, "Hey, if you ever want to make a film, I'd be happy to fund it." And
I
he was
hope
the
he's
kind of
still
guy.
your wonderful friend.
Well, this is the story. This is why it took 25 years. So he's the kind of guy where I had saved up $100,000 back then, which is a lot of money back then. And I
Sure.
went to him and I said, "Look, I've saved up 100. If you could put in 100, that would be so great." And he said, "Tell you what, if you really want to do this, I'll put in 500, and just let me know if you need more." So, uh, and then he died. He had
Ah,
AIDS, and so
oh boy.
I
Phew.
soldiered on until I ran out of money, and then I had to focus on raising my kids, getting them through school and college, and that was far more important. So I worked on it for about 5 years, set it aside for about 15 years, picked it up for 5 years, and finished it.
Wow. So it was always was it always sitting in the drawer waiting to come back out and be looked at again? Was that something you had always, during this period of time, had hoped you'd have the opportunity to do?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, no, I was waiting for the world to catch up. The film was way too ahead of its time.
Yeah. You're
In truth,
right.
in truth, it's funny, but the description you gave, back when I made it, the nurse being a fascist, she's actually got a swastika, and she's also kind of ageless, and she's truly evil. She's yeah, there you go. She's she's a super capitalist, and she's running a rest home, stealing money from the old people. She's just a horrible person. And it was kind of a joke that she's a fascist. And now 25 years later, all of a sudden, it seems to be a new thing.
Very
So
topical.
it's very topical. But
Who knew, right?
I wanted to say something about Waltham. That is considered the home or the birthplace of the Industrial Revolution in the United States. They had this Waltham system, where they called it the Waltham system, where farm girls from all over the country would come and stay in these dormitories with kind of den mothers, and they would work at the watch factory, the Waltham watch factory, 12 hours a day. And it's actually got a museum of industry there, and it's a home to a steampunk festival every year.
Wow.
And so just by chance, I always appreciated steampunk, so I tried to put in a lot of that into the film, like City of Lost Children, which is one of my favorite French films. And then, as I was saying, I lived in an area of Waltham called Piety Corner, and my house was actually a rectory for a church before I got it. And there's several churches and philosophy institutes around. So
yeah,
it's naturally, I guess I just made it about the definition of spirituality, which to most people is like, what is your connection to the universe? It might be Catholicism, it might be, Zen Buddhism, it might be science, but how do you connect to the universe? And so it's just funny that I ended up both in Waltham and in Piety Corner. So
isn't that amazing? It's I was mentioning, our grandparents hail from that area, from Waltham and from Boston, and it's a beautiful area, very historic town, very proud New England town, and then everybody branched out from there. But it's do you still have ties there? Everybody there?
yeah, a lot of friends still, and I still have the house that the film was shot in. I just rent it out now. But what happened is that all three of my kids, the main character in the film is called Sam, which is his real name. I didn't want to change anyone's name so I wouldn't get confused. But he is now an LA Times tech reporter. So he's always had a kind of wacky interest in.
Space Baby is now a tech reporter?
No, Space Baby designs apps for states. He's actually a computer designer. Sam, a mental man, is a tech reporter, and Nature Girl, Sophia, is a tech marketing person. And all of them live within a mile of me in LA. So it's been wonderful.
So how cool is that this film, we're talking 25 years later, and they were all, kids then, and now, like you say, they're all successful and doing wonderful things. But for the world to now see this and see them in the time period of being the kids, it's quite interesting, huh?
Well, we did a little screening here of just portions of the film. Probably showed about half an hour about a month ago, and I had like 6 friends all sitting on my living room floor, and we got a little projector. And several of them noticed that Sophia, in particular, while the film was running, she knew every single line, and you could see her lips move, even though it was 26 years ago. So anyway, it is going to be interesting when Sam's going to come up on stage and do the Q&A with me after the film screening, and for people to see that this little 8-year-old genius is now a 6'2" reporter for the LA Times. Is going to be funny. It's kind of, and especially because the film looks like it was made yesterday. It's going to be kind of strange for people to see like a 26-year gap.
Here's a cool photo we have here from one of the shots. Tell us about this one, Rex.
Well, so Sam has built a secret underground laboratory in Waltham, and he goes down there and does science experiments. And he's been trying to become the smartest kid in the universe. So he's building this communicator that lets him connect directly to the universe. And his old friend, the black guy there, is a great actor named Charlie Brown. His name is Blue. Mm-hmm. He was the keeper of the Holy Grail, and all he's got left of it is the Holy Grail User's Guide, which is a little electronics circuits.
Oh,
and
yeah.
He's giving it to Sam to say, can you rebuild the Holy Grail? Because we need to get a new soul for the earth. So they're looking at the circuit diagram, and Sam's about to, rebuild it.
That's so cool. So I mentioned a little bit about what Space Baby is all about. Tell us what inspired you, to create this as writer, director, filmmaker. What was the inspiration? And tell us about, what it's about for our viewers. And we're going to show a trailer too, which is kind of cool.
Well, I wanted to show a little boy who was excited about his baby brother coming, and Sam was that little kid. So one day he was sitting at the blender, and we had one of these blenders where you could go zzz, zzz, zzz,
Oh
zzz,
yeah.
and he said, "It's alive! It's alive!" And I thought, oh, that'd be funny if a little boy's trying to create a baby brother, with a blender, just putting things in it, and then from that it grew, and I love telling people what I'm doing. I never keep anything secret. So because nobody would copy this story. You would have to be crazy to copy this story. So I would tell people about it. And one friend would say, this is the Holy Grail story. You should study the Holy Grail stories, the original ones, because this film is about it. Or someone would say, this film is about love. And I was like, really? And so I create a whole character that is the universe and talking about love. And in the end, what the film's about is this process of a little boy learning to speak to his heart. It's kind of what it's about.
That's really cool. Is there a demographic for this film? Is it a family film? Is it for kids? Is it for adults only? Who do you envision would enjoy and really consume this with pleasure, this film, Rex?
Well, it's absolutely a family film. It's got so many what are they called? Goose eggs or duck? I don't know. But just so many little things that only like a Simpsons writer would get. There's so many cultural references that there's no possible way kids are going to get. But I think adults will enjoy. I do have to say, one of my Brazilian friends said, "Now surely you were on ayahuasca when you wrote this, right?" Because it's, in a way, it's about breaking on through to the other side. Like that's the main character wants to connect directly to the universe. And so, but in truth, I had never done any drugs.
Right.
So one film executive I was talking to said, "Well, there's families, and then families that do drugs together, and the sweet spot is your audience." Where those interact, people who do drugs, families who do drugs together. But
Right.
it's not true. It's, instead of doing drugs, you could watch this film.
That's right. Exactly. Got some of the characters here too that are in the actual film. How did you cast it?
Well, it's interesting that especially the character of Blue, which was based on a storyteller I knew in Boston called Brother Blue, was a friend of mine, and everybody thought he was crazy. He would always tell stories about people's hearts and ancient deers and things like that. And it turns out he had a PhD from Harvard, and you it's pretty brilliant. And so I love the idea of someone who says mystical things that seem untrue, but then turn out to be true. And he's tall and skinny, and I love Satchel Paige, the great pitcher, who also says a lot of mystical things that are very funny. And I wanted to find someone who was tall and skinny who could carry this off. And I actually just called up Dick Gregory, who was the first black comedian on the Tonight Show.
Mm-hmm.
And he's a great radical civil rights leader, and he loved it. And he added in some of the ideas that that make the film more of a history buff show, and was slated to play it. Then right before we started shooting, Malcolm X's wife got burned badly, and he was a family friend, and he said, "I have to go down and spend time with the family." So we ended up getting a fantastic Broadway actor named Charlie Brown, who had been in several Tony nominations, but he was in a soldier's play that became a soldier's story. He originated a lot of August Wilson's plays like Fences and King Hedley, and he acted with pretty much all the greatest black actors in America. He was part of this Negro Ensemble Theater Company. So with Viola Davis and James Earl Jones and Denzel and Samuel L. Jackson and just all of them. So it was such a privilege to work with him. and he and I were planning our next film together. He had always wanted to play. He had always wanted to play a character that he had heard about as a child, which was a blind guy, blind old black guy, that would actually write down music for other musicians. Even though he was blind, he would listen and he'd write it down. He could, he could do that. And we were going to make him a detective, a mentor to a detective that solved the murder of a great jazz singer that I loved and I hated. Nobody knew why he got killed. So we were putting this film together anyway. But Charlie Brown died while we were still in post-production. He died of cancer in his early 50s.
Oh, that's too bad.
Anyway, but he's the main one we cast because he was the most important role. And then the evil nurse, I actually wrote the role for Faye Dunaway, who was married to Peter Wolf. I don't know if you knew that. And my friend, who was my playwriting professor, she had done his first play on Broadway. It was her first play on Broadway. And I said, hey, would you show this to Faye? And he's like, no, she's really tired of being typecast as like somebody evil. So it turned out
more wire hangers.
Exactly. So but it turned out my wife's best friend was exactly like Margaret Hamilton, who was the Wicked Witch of the West, East, which one? West. She was a preschool teacher. And so we cast Nancy as the evil nurse that works for the devil, who is a longtime fascist. And she did a great job, I think, as a comedic actor. And what's funny is that Sophia, who turns out to be the only brave one in the film, the little girl, stands up to her all the time. But in real life, that's actually her godmother. So
really,
so they know each other well. Anyway, so that's how we cast it. It was kind of friends and family. The mom, Andrea Kooharian, tried out, and we loved her, and she got that.
Margaret Hamilton, of course, people know her from Wizard of Oz, but and other epic productions. But for years, she was the spokesperson for Maxwell House Coffee. She did all of those commercials from Maxwell House, good to the last drop. And on YouTube, if you type in her name, you'll get clips from movies and things that she's been a part of. But one of the first things that comes up are all the different Maxwell House coffee commercials she did. I think she played Clara or something like that in those Maxwell House commercials. A warm person who had like a bakery or something like that, and people would come in and they'd of course have to get their coffee, and it had to be Maxwell House.
And so her skin really wasn't green.
No, no, she actually, really cool. That was, when they used celebrities and folks that we knew from television or from movies in a lot of the commercials as the spokesperson. There'd always be like a mascot, a spokesperson, Josephine the plumber, or the the princess who did the Imperial margarine commercials. It's not nice to fool Mother Nature. They'd always have, as these actors and actresses were doing epic movies in Hollywood, then they'd also be brought in to do commercials, and sometimes they would be the face of that commercial for years and years and years, because they've already been, they're beloved from the movies and the television shows of the day, which was kind of cool. You don't see as much of that now, but it was big then.
Well, even back in the radio days, that was always a big thing, that the Dove soap and Ivory soap were being shilled by famous actors and actresses. There's a really cool program in Los Angeles called Tree People, which is an organization that plants trees. But I kind of laughed when I saw actor as one of my titles, because it's not clear that I can act yet, but I do get asked to do.
You have done some things from what we've learned.
I've done some, but the funnest thing are these staged readings of old plays, and so I was asked to do one. One of the directors called me and said, "Hey, we're doing Casablanca and the Thin Man this weekend. Make sure you come." And I said, "Okay." And I almost said, "By the way, if anyone drops out, let me know." But I didn't. She called back the next day and said, "Rex, 2 people have dropped out. Can you play 8 different characters?" And I said, "Of course." And she said, look, I know you can sing, but seriously, can you do 8 different accents? I said, of course. That's what you always have to say.
Right.
Um,
You
and
always say yes, and then you
I
figure
got
out a way to do it.
I got to act with Robert Forster, who was just a
Ah,
wonderful actor who had done a Quentin Tarantino movie, Jackie Brown, and
yes.
it was so cool to be. I was like Peter Lorre, like I think there's a gun. I think somebody has a gun. What happened to it? And he was Bogart, So
Do
anyway,
you
but in
like
every
doing impressions? Do you like doing
yeah,
that?
no, we would do the whole plays. We would do Casablanca,
You
The
would do
Thin
the
Man.
whole thing, yeah.
Yeah, and but anyway, in those radio plays was always someone selling soap, you know. So just like you said, some famous actor or actress would be telling the public what kind of soap she uses to stay beautiful.
Or sometimes they would have an announcer that would be on, like Ed Hurley. You can hear a lot of his voice still. He passed, but his epic commercials for 40 plus years, he was the voice of Kraft.
Mm.
Everything, Miracle Whip, Philadelphia cream cheese, whatever it was, he did the commercials. And it started out early during the Milton Berle show and those shows of the day that were done live back in the 40s on television, late 40s, early 50s. And they would have the live announcer doing the live read. And people fell in love with his deep, dulcet tone voice of God sound, which is a sound you really don't hear anymore, which I loved. I
I
really
know
like that.
those.
And the announcer sound, the Ernie Anderson ABC, the Love Boat on ABC. I used to love all that stuff, but you don't hear any of that now. So he did, and you can see like on YouTube and elsewhere the commercials that Kraft would sponsor, like Christmas specials, and all the ads would be Kraft, and it would be them doing a recipe. Now you can take the Philadelphia cream cheese and you can make this fabulous, holiday dinner, or the Miracle Whip, or the Parquet margarine.
Yeah, you and I both missed our calling. We should have been born, in the 20s and done this in the 40s because I love
Oh,
that
oh, I
radio.
love all of the, yes, yeah, that sort of authoritative sound. And I know you don't hear any of that now. Now everything is nasally and everybody has vocal fry. They all
Oh,
something like
that kills me.
that.
Vocal
Like,
fry kills me.
oh, we can do a whole show on that. That's one of my pet peeves, is the sound that people are, it's an affectation. It's a purposeful sound that they're doing that has sort of like an entitled sound, sort of like a snooty sound. And if you watch commercials now, it's like everybody's doing it. And all of a sudden, there's this voice where they're ending their sentences by saying, you know, and we're going to go to the store. We're going to go shopping. I'm like, couldn't you just say shopping?
Yeah, I mean, if they have
Shopping.
the energy to finish the word,
They
it's
right is exactly what I say. Sometimes they yell at the TV. Why didn't she or he um, keep some air in the lungs so they can finish the word? Why is it like? And then and if it's a
if
long
you
thing,
if you ever watch if you ever watch Pavarotti's master classes, that's one of my favorite things is that he's just like, no, no, sing it to the very, 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 very end.
exactly.
Um,
Yeah, right.
so,
Exactly. Your name is Rex Dean. It's not Rex Dean. I'm Jim Masters, not Jim Masters. Now everybody's going to check out commercials and everything else, and they're going to hear TV shows.
I love
In,
the old voices anyway. So, well,
yeah,
so Charlie
they were
Charlie Brown
cleaner.
in my
Yeah.
film, Charlie Brown has got one of the richest, deepest voices,
Yes. Like
and
a James Earl Jones and that type of
yeah,
sort of.
and it was interesting. So one reason that a film like this takes so long is that if you hire sound mixers that aren't very good, they will just try to remove all the ambient noise, and they'll make the voice sound like razor blades. You've heard things that are overly compressed, and so I went through
More now than ever. Yes.
a couple bad sound mixes. I said, look, treat his voice like a jazz performance. You wouldn't
Yes.
apply noise reduction to a Coltrane recording.
Warm
Treat
in
it
depth.
like an instrument. And then the little kids had such sweet voices, and you don't want to lose those. So In the end, I worked with a post-production house just a month ago in Burbank called Smart Post and Sound. And my mixer was a guy who used to be the executive story editor for Star Trek. So he loved sci-fi. And just in the space of 2 days, he did what I couldn't do in 2 years. You know, when you try to make a voice you recorded 3 years later sound like it was, you know, spoken in that room, there's very subtle things that only take 10 seconds if you know what you're doing, and it could take, you know, 10 days if you don't know what you're doing, and it never sounds right. So it's funny, you and I both are just super lovers of good audio and good voices, and you want to protect that. I mean, not that YouTube and the internet does, but you probably sound better than me than I on this crummy little mic here. But anyway, that was super important to me because I, as a singer, I had spent time in the studio, and so a lot of time, first-time filmmakers won't give the sound mixers, the guys holding the mic, the guys, you know, checking the volume, they won't give them the respect they deserve. But you know, for us, you know, if they said, wait, I hear an airplane 10 miles away, hold on, or I hear a refrigerator, you know, and we would take the time to shut off the refrigerators because it's just so important that you get I think the human voice, and you don't replace it later because it never quite matches. And so anyway, I even though shooting on location with cars driving by and all that is still fraught and it's difficult, I think the audio in Space Baby is something I'm really proud of. So.
What was the process like? I mean, even when you first came up with the idea 25 years ago, again, for folks joining us, Rex Dean is our special guest, filmmaker, writer, producer, singer, and actor. He, you know, dreamed this up 25 years ago, and it's coming to fruition now. What was it like 25 years ago, sort of coming up with the idea and then turning it into reality, even on paper for you?
Well, so the right way to write a screenplay is to make an outline, or if you don't like outlines, use 3x5 cards, 4x6 cards, and you just write down little bits. And then you arrange them all. And before you start writing, you know the shape of the thing. The wrong way is to just start writing. And so I think I must have written 900 pages that I threw away to get the 100 pages that we kept. And what that does for me, though, is it made the characters so much more real. You know, so writing is torture. It's just so difficult, you know, to write something and to make it make sense. And
Yeah.
And this, in the end, the film didn't make sense, and I had to spend 4 more years adding the talking crow, adding this. There's a space station in the main character's mind. There's ladybugs that fly around and say things. There's an angel that flies around and says things. It's the voice of the universe. I had to add all those to make the film make sense, because even though it was nicely written, these are the ladybugs are kind of the guardians of the Holy Grail, and this is the tube of the future, which is part of the Holy Grail. Anyway, so the writing is torture. It took me about a year, and then the shooting of it was interesting. Every day I would wake up. That's the space station inside the main character's mind, which is really him talking to his own heart. The shooting of it every day, I say, wait a minute, this isn't about you. This isn't about you. You know, some other schmuck wrote this thing, and you're here to help these actors do their thing, but it's not about you. You know, because you're going through so much money at that time. You know, $10,000 a day, and you know, and such. You know, and you want to respect the investment that was made. Anyway, so. It's so interesting. I mean, anyone can direct, and it all comes down to whether you have good taste and whether you can recognize an honest performance. But you know, anyone can direct, and it's you know, and I'm glad. And on the other hand, I had the most incredible line producer, Denise Skinner, who really taught me how to be a filmmaker. A great DP named John Luba, who was always chewing a toothpick, and when The Baby was on ever, that was so stressful for him, because he always had to do handheld, because the baby like ran like crazy, and you had to run after him and try to capture the baby. And so he would just like chew his toothpicks all the nub by the time he's done. But
I had an uncle do that, but it was cigars.
I was so lucky that Denise found me this great cinematographer. And then my editor really put it together, and would tell us, look, you need something else here. You need a shot here. Maybe let's make the crow talk. But he was an early MacGyver editor. And so he came up with the building things, like bombs out of bubble gum kind of MacGyver things. So we have 2 sequences like that in the film. And, so I had such educations from these, really great film people, and I listened to them. So I think that was my process, is basically knowing that I didn't know much.
Yeah.
I know what a good performance was. I also was very specific about line readings a lot of times. Like I wanted it to sound like this. You are the Wicked Witch of the West. I wanted it to go up and then down, and that's a real pain in the ass if directors are like that, apparently. But it's also important to get what you want so that you can make the best film you can. So
did you know what you want and stick with that from start to finish? Or was there some tweaking and movement that happened during the process?
Well, yeah. So, I went to a seminar once, and they said, filmmakers have to have passion. And I think they have to have patience and absolute stubbornness, like you said. Yeah, I just found a clip from, we had digital video background footage, and it's someone's interviewing me about how not to make films because of all the mistakes I'd made. And we turned to the gaffer, who is this super handsome guy named Eric West. The gaffer is the guy who sets all the lights. And I said, has anyone ever, have you ever been in a film? And he said, well, no one's ever asked me, but if they did, I would. And I said, well, you heard it here first, folks. He said that he would be in a film if we asked him. And the next thing you know, he is playing one of the nurses. And he gives this little lecture to the nurses that he had made up, like, hey, what are you guys doing? If that nurse Nancy was here, I'd take her down to the Crowbar and we'd go dancing. And it's just stuff that he made up. So it turns out in LA, there is a Crowbar.
There's a Crowbar.
And I didn't know that. But so we definitely added things. When Peter Wolf did his scene, he did it to the book pretty much. I think instead of super colliding superconductor, he said superconducting super collider or something like that. But close enough. But after he was done, he said, I kind of had a bunch of really funny ideas. I brought these googly glasses, and I was, I'd known him for a while, but I was, real respectful, and so I just like, Peter, you can just do whatever you want. He's got a great voice, speaking of. And anyway, so the point is, we would improvise sometimes, and sometimes, we did the lines. What I was amazed at is these kids they knew every single line of every single person. They just had amazing memories, Sam and Sophia.
That's incredible. We actually have a trailer too that we want to show, give people a sense of what we're talking about with Space Baby. How'd you come up with the name Space Baby?
Well, he looks kind of like a Gerber baby, right? He came out.
I was just about to say, yes, really. It's an uncanny, yes, real cute child.
Yes, he also kind of looks like a an alien or an astronaut.
Have you told that to him now as he's taller?
Honestly. Oh, he's a little taller than me, but he's kind of my clone, and he gets tired of people are always saying, you look just like your dad, and he says, I'm my own person.
I am my own person. That's right.
But man, that's a good question. I don't remember exactly when Space Baby, Mental Man, Nature Girl came into mind. I really should look through my old notes. But anyway,
that's it, right? Well, we have the trailer. We want to show the trailer because it's really, really cool. Did you want to set it up at all, or just show it and then mention after?
There's a trash truck outside, so why don't you just run it and then I'll talk to you after.
Oh, there is? You got to run some trash out?
No. There's noise. It's noisy.
Yes. Well, that's that ambient sound you said you like that you don't want edited out.
No.
This is reality, folks. He is a filmmaker extraordinaire, but the trash man still does come to his house.
And they sit out there and they run their compressors for like 5 minutes. So why don't you and I'll talk about it after, though. I'd love to.
You got it. Here we go. Here's the trailer. Space Baby on the Jim Masters Show Live.
Hey, 1-1, Red Leader, how's it look? I'm over at the rest home. Boss said to keep an eye out. Roger, so Blue, why does the Earth need a new soul?
With all the wars, greed, intolerance, and just plain cruelty, this one is dying.
This is a business. Profit. The invisible hand. Where am I?
Inside your mind.
Earth time and heaven's time touches once every 300 years. Tonight is the night. We'll see if they get the signal.
What happened to the Holy Grail anyway? You are the caretaker.
Here, see for yourself.
Oh, I look for a part like this. It's a quark stream laser.
Never heard of one of those. Hold on, I'll have to call Roswell. What's all this stuff for anyway?
It lets you hook up your mind to the universe.
Now realize this. There's infinity between 0 and 1.
From the moment you were born, my heart told me you would be the next caretaker.
What is that? Like a janitor?
Now you know my true identity. Mental Man.
Yesterday, I installed this tube, and ever since then, I've been seeing a baby from outer space.
The baby is not really here, not in the way that you think.
Where is he really from?
The future.
Sam, you're seeing a space-time discontinuum. A projection from beyond your universe.
Sign here, or you get kicked out on the street.
We've got a mission for you, girls.
Roger that, Nature Girl. Operation Pest Control is underway.
How to do that? You just have to believe. Like Blue said, believe in each other.
Inside you will find the answer to all questions.
If you're my heart, then I am the Holy Grail.
It's more than a grail. It's their laptop.
Kids rule. They're taking over. Yeah. Laying down the rule. Laying down the rule.
Kids rule. Very cool. Wow. That looks like you're talking about 25 years ago. It looks like it was just done now. Oh, you're muted. You must have muted the trash compactor. So
They're still here.
they're still there. Yeah, well, I don't really hear it. I don't really hear it.
Oh, good. Well, anyway, there's a great program called Da Vinci Resolve that has this noise reduction. So when we had this film scanned, so you asked, was it sitting in a drawer waiting to be picked up again? No, it was sitting in my kitchen pantry in 200 boxes of film. You know, it's a van load of film.
Yes.
20 hours of film, which is like 2 million frames of film. And I had no idea whether it was going to survive 25 years, so, because it wasn't really refrigerated and it's,
all the things you have to do to preserve, right?
Moisture and all that. So, they could be scanned, but a lot of it just looked dirty, like someone had put dirty boots on it, and these different layers can degrade differently. So I spent about a year probably applying noise reduction to make it look like it was shot yesterday. And if you've ever seen that Beatles documentary, I think, it looks like you're in the room with the Beatles, even though the film is 50 years old. They had to have the same noise reduction. But I was going to say, so about the...
you keep looking to the right, like you're saying, those darn guys, they had to show up now. The way there's a look in your eyes when you're looking sideways, like, will you get out of here now?
Yeah.
That side look is cool.
The sad thing is that in California, there's no one trash company for the neighborhood. And so we have 5 trash companies. So they each come for half an hour, 5 times a week, and just run their motors outside. Anyway,
maybe
but
there's a movie in there somewhere.
yeah, someone's gonna get murdered. But for a trailer, I could not figure out how to make a trailer for this because there's so many possible ways. It's about this little girl, this old ball player, and it's about science and religion and philosophy. And so I tried to think of films that were like it. And the one that came up closest was a film that was made the year we shot, which was The Fifth Element. It's a crazy sci-fi film about love. And so I looked at The Fifth Element's trailer, and I just copied like beat by beat. So there's a satellite, there's an Earth, there's a rocket ship going by, and I just tried to find shots that looked similar. And then, because these guys who create those trailers are geniuses, you know. And so in general, I always tell people, if you want to learn how to make better films, like study with a stopwatch, or nowadays, you know, with frames, great films. So we had a sequence where I studied Spielberg's E.T., where E.T. is getting drunk and Elliot is supposed to be dissecting frogs, but he's getting drunk too because they have a link between them. And there was, the way he did it was like there would be 10-second shot, 10-second shot, you know, E.T. and Elliot, and then 9 seconds, and 8 seconds, then 7 seconds. And so it was like a Eisensteinian kind of mathematical thing that made that scene really work. And anyway, so I think always copy everyone else, because, you know, what you're doing is always so different anyway.
Are you a lover of science and things of that nature? Is that something you've always had a real interest in?
Yeah, my mom is she's got a master's degree in microbiology and almost a PhD in radiation physics. Was a science teacher. My brother's got a PhD in biology. Another brother's a veterinarian. Another one's got a PhD in oil exploration. So I come from a family of people who love science. Yeah, I've always just dabbled, you know. But
yeah,
in fact, two of my classmates are famous physicists. One of them has kind of come up with string theory. A guy named Brian Greene, my college classmate. So I wanted to make the science in Space Baby really accurate. And I just the other day, I was writing down kind of every scientific thing that was said, and then I Googled it to see if it was still accurate as far as neurochemistry and physics and quarks and things like that. And it is still accurate. So
that's so cool, huh? So
yeah, I was a big Trekkie. Yeah.
So as far as people being able to see Space Baby, of course, we've been mentioning the website spacebaby.com, and there is the festival in LA. What is the hope in terms of the ability for people to actually be able to see this?
The hope is that we'll spend a few months going to festivals and hopefully getting some kind of, you know, some publicity and reviews and things like that. So that when we go to distributors, they can Google it and then say, oh, the New York Times thinks this is a work of genius, you know, which is what we hope. So that's kind of the goal. And then get it on Hulu, get it on, you know, Netflix.
Like a streaming platform. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's actually really fun. I'm excited to see this in a big theater. I mean, it's the first time I'll be seeing it, but with the post-production studio, they have these mixing stages, you know, that are like $1 million things where you're looking at it on a big screen and you got the pieces everywhere.
That's still tough to top, isn't it? That experience of the being in the chair with people, the screen, the sound, the popcorn. There's just, I know that's been going away, and the last couple of years have pushed a lot of that away, that experience. Even the drive-in movies of years ago, just the experience of it, the build-up, the anticipation of going there, getting out of your house and going to somewhere. That's still a tough, I mean, you can be in your living room, you can pop the popcorn and you can watch it on your TV and you can watch it on your laptop or your phone. Although I don't watch much stuff on the phone. I know a lot of people do. Even our show, a lot of people watch on their phones. I still like the experience of a larger screen, a little more of that surround sound. Just I want to be taken away from current and swept away through the production and everything else. Maybe it sounds a little old school, but that movie theater experience is such a cool thing. Are there any indie theater houses where it might pop up as well?
Well, that's part of the plan, is to self-distribute if we have to. I mean, it's, we will do whatever we have to. If we have to end up putting it on YouTube, that's fine. But I actually really want to do New York, maybe Chicago and LA at least, and my hometown of Fort Collins and Waltham. There's a great little indie theater there. And, and rent out a theater for a weekend or for 2 weeks, 3 weeks, so that people can see it. These days, most distributors that you talk to say, oh, we'll just get it on a streaming site and forget about it. But, I'm willing to invest the time and effort to get it into theaters, because I think that, I don't know, there's such a feeling of shared joy and grief, and, and you want to see people all cry together if something bad happens. And
yes, yeah, it's
so,
perfect you say that, right? That communal, that's the thing I love about the movie theater experience, is the communal experience. Like, we saw Titanic in the movie theater, and then we saw it again, on TV at home. And the experience at home, though nice and comfy, is different than having seen it on the large screen. Of course, the size of the ship is 10 times larger. The sound is bolder. And then just the reactions of others sort of experiencing at the same time, at least in that fleeting moment of being in a movie theater with other, humans and that human experience, understanding the human condition, having everybody experience at least momentarily the same feeling at the same time, and knowing, as a producer, filmmaker, director, that you can help facilitate stuff like that is kind of extraordinary. And I think having that experience in the movie theater, we saw the Poseidon Adventure in the movie theater. I mean, another epic type of thing when you see that. And then we've seen it, on whatever channel, and Tubi or whatever. And it's good. We enjoy it. It's not the same as when we saw it in the movies, just the excitement of it, Are you a movie theater lover?
Yeah, absolutely. And it is true. It's like all human history, right? We're sitting around fires at night telling stories and seeing shadows. And I think people heal in these situations. They share, they laugh. It's I wonder if there's been studies just to show, like, what is the effect on your body of seeing, Titanic in your home theater or Titanic on a screen. Like, I got to imagine there's more, more joy, more dopamine, whatever it is, that comes from, or seeing Jaws. I'll never forget. I broke my leg jumping out of my seat when I first saw Jaws.
Yes.
To have an entire theater jump out of their seats at once.
Yes.
You never forget.
Yeah. I used to have this. It wasn't a nightmare, but it was recurring for a while, of the scene where they're diving down below, and there was that boat that sank. I guess Jaws had gotten at it, and then they're sort of peeping in, like this opening of the boat, and all of a sudden this head pops out from this old man, and I just remember that. I could still see that.
Yeah,
that just was vivid as a kid, seeing that. And in a movie theater where it's dark and you have all these people around you, it's different. And then you hear people scream or oh or ah. That adds to the feeling that you're getting, versus at home, safe, sound, comfort. It's a little bit different. But yeah,
I'm a huge fan, and I hope, first of all, I hope future viruses are handled better, and so we don't have this, kind of terrible situation like we did. But I hope the economics of it work out, that we can keep going to movies. It's really cool to have, the Chinese theater in Hollywood is one of the famous ones. The Oscars often happen there, and to have the premiere of my film at the Chinese is going to be really, really cool.
That is very, very cool. And are you working on, even though we're talking Space Baby, are you working on other things as well, other projects, movies, things of that nature as well? And also, as a filmmaker, writer, director, producer, wearing that hat, do you enjoy being the performer as well? Do you enjoy acting? Do you enjoy singing?
Yeah. So I've got two projects I'm working on writing right now. One is, I don't want to give it all away, but it's a really low budget pirate movie about a Brazilian woman who's has to get back to Brazil to give her mother a kidney to save her life, and it's a really funny comedy with musicians. I was just at an event with Elton John's lyric writer 2 nights ago. Bernie Taupin is an artist. He was in West Hollywood. I got to say, I've spent thousands of hours of my childhood like studying his lyrics. It was really cool to say hi to him. But I met a rock guitarist named Gilby Clarke, I think, and it was in Guns N' Roses. And he's a super handsome guy. He's like 60, but he looks sort of like Johnny Depp, maybe more handsome, and he looks just like a pirate. And so I said, hey, look, I told him the story of this pirate film, and and I think I got him to agree to be in it. And he said, but you got to put my daughter, who's got a punk band, in it as well, And it was just so fun because I want to put rock musicians in every film I do. Anyway, so that's one I'm working on, which is I didn't think I would want to make more films because this has been so difficult. I vowed never to work alone again. I don't want to be in anything except maybe the story.
I know. Are you a good delegator or not necessarily, or you've learned to become one? That's an area I've had to learn to do, is delegate more and release it and say, okay, we could use your assistance, we could use your help, because these things are your baby and you have a vision and you know what you want to do with it. And you're fearful that if you hand it over or you walk away for a second and somebody else takes care of that part of it, something may go wrong or it'll be totally destroyed or whatever will happen.
That's a good question. I mean, part of it is more, I need to ask for help and I need to, and I think we can structure things in a way that just says, look, we have no money or we have $10,000, but everyone is going to get a percentage. If your rate is $1,000 a day, then you're going to get 1% of the film, whatever it is, just in case it makes money, which doesn't happen that often. But really for me, it's been more the not being willing to ask people for favors. And I need to stop doing that because a lot of times people want to be involved in things and
they want to help. Right.
So there's that film, which I'm really excited about. And then a TV series. I met a French composer who in line at some DJA event a few months ago, and he took the trouble to listen to like all 50 of my music videos. If you Google me, I've got like mostly covers of Sinatra and Nights in White Satin and, opera and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, wow, it's such an honor to meet you. Come meet my producing partner. We need to make a film. We should write some of your songs into a film.
Yeah.
And so
yeah.
I started thinking, I said, you know what? This song would be really good about a vampire with Alzheimer's.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And so, which would be kind of funny. And it has all sorts of like complications. Like, wow, wouldn't that be terrible living forever and forgetting who you are? And so I wrote like a 20-page screenplay that weekend and put 4 of my songs into it. And I started telling other people about it because, like I said, no one would make the kind of films I'm making. This is about a band of vampires who are kind of social justice warriors. One of them has Alzheimer's. It's all just crazy comedy. But the more I tell people about it, like, oh, well, some of them are 100 years old. They could be singing, "Fly me to the moon, let me play among the stars," back in 1945, and then go kill Hitler.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Somebody should have, right?
If you keep doing that, you're going to woo them because this audience loves when people sing. We should have had to do that too.
I love your audience. Anyway, so it's going to be really fun. So the more I told people about it, they said this should be like a TV series that runs for 8 years. You got so many episodes that you could do. So yeah, I've got like half dozen other screenplays that are 95% written. So I didn't know that I would want to do more. And as soon as this thing got done, I'm like, okay, what's next?
Okay, exactly right. Yes. What's the feedback been so far from those who have had an opportunity to quietly see it?
I mean, positive. I mean, here's the thing is I don't know that I can convince executives to like it or even film festival, programmers. But I know that regular people and families and kids like it. I was just talking with a guy who watched it last week, and he said he couldn't believe how much it reminded him of his own childhood. That sort of curiosity, that sort of we can create the worlds we want. And the film is very much kids doing whatever they want. Doing their own artwork, building their own inventions. So yeah, the feedback has been that it's charming, that it's exciting. We did a screening of parts of it and then stuck a camera in front of a bunch of my friends. And I can't remember off the top of my head all the things they said. It's on my website, but just really beautiful, eloquent praise, because there really is something for everyone. I think whatever you bring to it, your point of view, your philosophy, your interest in science or history or nature or religion, it's so dense. It's got like 20 films worth of information in one film. So you will meet some part of yourself in it, I think.
What part of you is in it?
Well, I have to say, this is something that, I've probably seen it 500 times, right? Just working on it, removing dust, blah, blah, blah. And it wasn't till about a year ago, after 25 years, that I realized I thought I had a point of view. I thought this film has a point of view and it's my point of view and you're going to get it. And I realized that it doesn't. It has these 4 points of view. 1, this little mad scientist who's an atheist. 2, this little girl who talks to animals and kind of worships nature. 3, this old guy who practices all religions because he's an angel from heaven. And 4, this fascist nurse who's only bent on stealing money and destroying the world. And these 3 people don't have anything in common in their beliefs, really. An atheist, a nature lover, and a all religions practicer, but they are best friends and they come together to fight fascism. And so what you see, I think the best, I should have the subtitle of this, A Glimpse into an ADD Mind. Because it's kind of like how my mind works, just these thoughts everywhere. And the main character is always interrupting other people and thoughts are flying off. So I think what is in me of it is just the curiosity I had as a kid, the sort of distress I had when, all the great world leaders were getting assassinated during my childhood. I mean, basically it's all the things I thought about up till the time I was 35 when I made the film.
It's really cool that you have a lot of that incorporated into the actual film itself. This I know has really been a labor of love for you. And here we are a quarter of a century later, and the world is getting a chance to see it and appreciate it. And what's really uncanny, which does happen sometimes, some of the elements of the film are so relevant to today's times, today's conversations, today's news events, which is quite amazing, huh? It's almost intuitive.
Well, I don't know if I told you, but I did. The comedian Dick Gregory helped me shape one of the roles, and he was a far-thinking guy. So
yes,
it's got to kind of, some of the things that the old black guy are saying are kind of radical. They're basically all true. They're all Black history, right? So 25 years ago, Black Lives Matter didn't happen. Nobody really cared about a lot of, African American history. There was no 1642 project or whatever that year is. And so 25 years later now, those have all been topics of conversation. And now sometimes Black history is getting banned. Fascism is on the rise. So all these things that, I guess if you hang around brilliant people like Dick Gregory and he's feeding you some ideas, even the idea that, like, why does the CIA sell drugs in poor neighborhoods? That's the first thing we hear from this old guy that he's teaching the kids. And the nobody knew that 25 years ago, but Dick Gregory said, why don't we have him say that, But it's true. And there's been whole, Netflix series now on the CIA helping develop the crack epidemic so that they could fund their wars in Central America. So yeah, it is all, I think it's all very topical. And it's also, the one thing I start the film with is a quote that says, question everything, Euripides. And the film ends with a quote, never stop questioning, Einstein. Right? So question everything and never stop questioning. So, which is kind of an antidote to fake news, you know?
Never stop questioning everything, right? It's so true. Yes. And if you're a curious type, as you are, as I am as well, you never do stop questioning. You just see what the events are of today and think you've seen it all. And then you wake up tomorrow and what went on today topped anything that could have happened yesterday. You're like, what? It's an interesting time. Yeah. It's really, yeah.
I had, there's one of the phrases that several of the people who watched bits of it the other day said, oh my God, that was mind blowing, is one of the things that one of the characters says is, oh, truth is just a word people use when they've decided to stop looking for answers. So
yes, I heard that recently too. Right.
Yeah. I'll tell you. So anyway, there's a lot of politics in the film, and I'm hoping that it's not objectionable to anybody. You know, that it's all just world history, fighting fascism. But one thing that's kind of funny is that I went to college with the Secretary of State, Anthony Blinken.
Oh, yeah.
We were in the same classes. I was a political science, or at my college it was called government major. And I was on a Zoom with him before Biden was elected. And I asked a question like Bernie might have asked, like, hey, why don't we take half the military and put it into infrastructure and roads and schools and, you know, the eradication of poverty, et cetera. And he's a very smart guy. I mean, I think he'd be a great president. But he had, you know, he answered it. But what was funny is he talked to me like he knew me, like he remembered me. And I have a terrible memory. So I thought, that's interesting that, you know, he said, oh, Rex, that's da 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 da. Well, the guitar player in my band emailed me an article a day later that was by Anthony Blinken interviewing me about the band I was in college.
Wow.
And he said, if anybody's going to be on vinyl from this band, it'll be Rex Dean. You know, I want to put a billboard up that says, Rex Dean will be on vinyl. Anthony Blinken, Secretary of State. He's got a band himself. He's a musician.
That's right. Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. Because you grew up in Colorado, right?
Yeah, no, but this was in Boston. We all went
This
to
was
Harvard.
in Boston. Yeah. Yeah. How about Colorado? What was it like growing up in Colorado for you? Did that influence anything?
That's a good question. I mean, it was great. I had a great childhood. There were great used bookstores. So all the philosophy you see in the film came from used bookstores in Fort Collins, Colorado. We sort of raised ourselves and made our own toys and really kind of ran wild. I was one of 9 kids, so you couldn't really corral that many kids. And so there were fields around, and after a while we were living on a farm. So I think the idea that I can do anything, it came from Colorado. I decided I was going to be an all-conference football player, even though I'm really small. And my senior year, I was named all-conference. You know, I played against guys 75 pounds heavier than me, but I was the middle guard and defense. And I would beat them up and run around them, you know, the center, and be fast. You know, and anyway, so I got this amazing confidence that I could do anything. And that's definitely what I got from Colorado. And what's interesting with, you know, if you've got ADD or if you ever got this sense of, you know, ADD is obviously people know a lot more about it, but, you know, you can, a lot of times they're really smart people and you can get all the way through college and, you know, it's kind of tough, but you get through. But they say basically you hit a wall at some point. You do something so complicated that your disorganization and random thoughts and all that just stop you. And this was mine. You know, I made this film and I would just hit a wall. And I actually was lucky enough to be friends with Albert Maysles, the great filmmaker, Give Me Shelter and Grey Gardens. And he was probably 70 at the time, but he and his wife both said, oh yeah, we both have ADD. His wife said every time she ever had to take a test at Harvard, she had to take no dose or else she'd fail. And she was still getting like her second PhD at age 60. And she would take, you know, Adderall. And so I actually met a great ADD specialist and got diagnosed, and for years would take Adderall, and eventually I realized this was probably raising my blood pressure, and I've decided that I could live with being less smart and just, you know, a little healthier. But anyway, the point is that you hit a wall where you just can't manage this many complex details. And so having a therapist and Adderall for a while really helped focus thoughts. Things that were taking me a month to figure out, I couldn't figure out how to tie these two scenes together. All of a sudden I could do it in an hour.
Are you a perfectionist?
What's that?
Are you a perfectionist?
Is...
Everybody always answers it exactly like that too. It's like they want to say yes, but they don't really want to fully say it.
No. I mean, the thing is, like, this is a deeply flawed film. Everything I do is deeply flawed in some ways. Like I put out a ton of music videos of covers, especially, but I've been writing my own songs. And you basically, if you can say, I don't care what happens, I'm just going to do it today. I'm going to put something out. I mean, you obviously, if you can just produce, you're not judging yourself every day and beating yourself up, I hope, because, you know, it would be torture. You just have to say, look, I'm me. I did my best. Let's put it out.
I'm still working on that because I do that. I do.
No, and you do stuff. Yeah, you say,
There's a lot of people in the creative world. They are hard on themselves.
Yeah,
they're striving for excellence all the time, and
yeah, you have to. But at the same time, I think that I'm going to be, the rest of my life, I'm going to be perfect at being me. You know, which is like,
that's a good way to.
If you don't like that, that's okay. But I'm just going to be me.
You are you, right? Exactly. And
yeah. In college, I grew up around fantastic jazz musicians. My best friend and business partner, we were computer programming guys. He left Harvard to tour with Wynton Marsalis. He was that good. And so I judged myself based on the way these guys played, which is the best guys in the world. And I'm like the 12 millionth best guy in the world as far as like playing piano. Like there's 7-year-olds who play better piano than I do. And I would just go, I'm not good enough. And finally I realized, like, well, I can sing better than other people, or, you know, or I can sing in a way that's pleasing to me. And so, you know, even though I'm still not good enough, it's still okay. And that's part of my charm, I hope, is that, you know, I've had friends who say, Rex, I can't believe how you make these mistakes and you just keep going.
And
like,
good enough is all relative, right? It's like, you know, who's the judge and jury on it? It's if we're pleased and we're happy, and if you make other people smile and think and go out there and take on life and inspire them and provide pleasure, no matter at what level that is, it's a beautiful thing, right? And you're doing that being a creative person yourself.
Yeah, the most moving thing, and I'm sure you've had this too, where someone says, look, you helped me get through the worst time in my life or the most terrible day. I've just listened, you know, in my case, a song, I've just listened to that 40 times and it's the only thing that makes me happy. And that's just, it's quite moving.
It's the icing on the cake. I've heard it throughout my entire career on TV and radio, but I've really heard it a lot when I started this series 3 years ago this all the craziness that we've experienced, where people have written and said on air, guests and viewers, how this show, this series with all the episodes has sort of gotten them through, or continues to get them through the craziness of life. Like they seriously look forward to the shows. And if I'm ever called away on my professional work, or there's a holiday or family wedding, some go into actual withdrawal. When you're coming back, are you on? And what a beautiful, touching thing that is.
That is that, and that's. I just listened to a podcast about dopamine, but managing your dopamine, you know, and it's like that to look forward to something, first of all, gives you a little boost, and then to have it be satisfying gives you a little boost, and then to not have it though can really make you crash. I look forward to the day when somebody misses me.
I'm sure you're talking about. I'm sure they do, and they will, and
we'll see.
What are some of those blessings and joys in your life that do keep you going, keep you trudging forward, keep you creating and connecting?
Uh, it's really my friends and my kids, you know, and my kids are my friends. The I love, I just love the collaboration process. I love getting together and saying, let's make a movie. Or let's tell a story. I also really love connecting people. My little sister's a writer. Actually, she connected this up, but she's one of her books has been optioned by the guys who did White House Down and London Down, and Morgan Freeman's going to play one of the characters in a book she wrote. My son Sam, who's in this movie at 8 years old, is married now, and his wife just translated a novel from Iran, and I hooked her up with a filmmaker producer that I met in LA, and and they're going forward trying to make this into a film. So that's actually I have a big apartment here that I can have like 50 people over, and I love the collaborations that come out of that. People hire each other, they ask, they work on film projects together. So I feel like that's my contribution these days is just kind of connecting people.
Connecting people.
So yeah, and just the beautiful weather. I live on a street that like Dr. Seuss might have drawn. Like every tree is like insanely beautiful. And I live near the Griffith Observatory, so I can walk every couple of days.
Yeah. And
yeah, just life is good. I got a couple cats that are pretty good.
You miss the East Coast?
It's not so much. I asked my kids. So growing up in Colorado, you asked, was just great. It was just really great. And so I thought maybe everybody has memories of where they grew up in childhood, and the same way. But in truth, my kids are all very sunny people, and like me, they really love a lot of sunshine. And Boston was a little gloomy. The people kind of look at you like you have two heads. If you say you want to make a film, often it's not. Here, and almost anyone you meet, you're like, "What are you working on?" And you come into a conversation about something fun they're doing. So I'm going back in. Actually, I'll be back in Boston in the end of July. I'm doing a concert July 28th in Vermont. I had done the summer stock thing where I had the lead in "Kiss Me, Kate" with the Mirror Rep, which was a famous repertory in New York, and they have their summer stock is up in Vermont.
Right.
And it was actually really fun because I had my co-star was a 2-time Tony winner named Marla Schaffel. And she's just one of the best singers on Broadway and an incredible actress. And I'm a good singer. And so that summer I was living in a cabin next to Brian Cox from Succession. And he would give me acting advice, because he said, look, if you can sing like you do, which is like Sinatra became a great singer, you can become a great actor. And he'd say, no, just give me just little pointers. So that was really cool. This was long before he became, famous for Succession. It was about 8 years ago. But a friend was up watching the first tech rehearsal, and he said, Rex, your singing is great. I understood every line you said, but Marla is like 10 levels above you. And I'm like, oh no, I must humble myself further and say, what am I doing? What does it mean to be an actor? And, I would pace the stage and wander around. But by the end of it, people all thought I was a 30-year Broadway veteran. It's not this. Marla was like someone who could do a bit with a broom and a song and do it like clockwork every single time, and funny as hell every time, and perfect. I could never do anything twice. I can't dance. I can't, I can sing a song. Anyway, but it was really cool. So anyway, they have asked me to come back and do a sort of tribute to Broadway songs mostly.
That's going to be great. Yeah.
Greensboro, Vermont, July 28th.
Vermont. Beautiful time to be up in Vermont for sure, huh?
Oh, it's just stunning up there in the summer. And they have the best cheese, and there's a lake, and, so we'll go canoeing.
The summer and the fall. You know who has not in Vermont, but next door in New Hampshire. He's a great friend of our show. He's been here a couple of times, I think 3 times now. And we went up to see him actually. Is the television and music and film and game show host legend John Davidson.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he has a venue up in Sandwich, New Hampshire. He's originally from Massachusetts, grew up in
I
Massachusetts.
didn't know that.
So he came back and he created, this is the 3rd season of Club Sandwich, which is a really nice, intimate venue with all these different chairs, eclectic chairs and recliners and couches. And it's really incredible. And all of this wall of fame of everything he's done in his career, from TV series to his talk show to Hollywood Squares and movies and Broadway and music records. And he brings in all these different artists, all these performers, singers, comedians, different people. And they perform usually, I think it started June, just a couple weeks ago, through October. And then it closes for the winter and he goes on his boat, I think, to Mexico, where I believe he still has a house and his son and daughter and kids are there. But it's up in the Lakes region of New Hampshire, Sandwich, New Hampshire. It's called Club Sandwich in Sandwich, New Hampshire.
I'm going to look it up. That sounds wonderful. I love John Davidson. I mean,
tell him Jim Masters sent you, because he's a big fan of the show. He's been here, and he's just a real entertainer's entertainer, guy that's done everything. He's worn so many different hats. Reminds me of myself in that way, because I've done a lot of different things in this industry. So I admire what he's been able to do and the longevity of his career. But yeah, that's right next door in New Hampshire. And they have like Fridays, Saturdays, and Sundays performances. And he performs too. He has his own show as well. It's kind of cool. Yeah.
No, that sounds like a dream. I mean, that would be
to have your own place, right?
Yeah, I'd love to be a nightclub host and singer and do Christmas specials and things like that.
That's exactly it. Well, this was great. You know who was with us too, and we always like to show him? Mr. George Burns was with us, watching and enjoying and learning a lot about the process. But of course, he probably one of the inventors of a lot of the processes. He's got a cigar. He's got a red hanky. Pops up all the time. He was on one of our nostalgic episodes of our show. My aunt in Connecticut collected dolls. She had a room designated with thousands of dollars worth of dolls. And this got passed down to me. So George Burns sends you his best. How cool is that, huh?
That's wonderful. Is that like a one-of-a-kind doll?
It is a limited edition that came out when he reached that epic milestone birthday. He's technically supposed to be wrapped in plastic in a box, not necessarily so freely held. So believe me, my left hand is holding him for dear life. But he sneaks in a peek. He's got a cigar and he hangs down below. He's sort of like my associate producer. He's down below there with his cigar and his martini.
I would love to see somebody like him just show up, and I wonder if we would all love him still. I think we would. But those kind of characters who could just talk all night and host shows and tell jokes and
multi-entertainers. Yeah.
Yeah, I always wanted to have like the Dean Martin show or something like that.
Absolutely, right? Yeah. This was awesome, my friend. We're going to keep the porch light on for you. And congratulations on Space Baby. Spacebaby.com is the website. Congratulations and good luck on the festival there in Los Angeles. And spread the word about the Jim Masters Show live series. Like I said, it's a entertainment, lifestyle, celebrity talk show series. We do it kind of with the old school qualities of Carson and Cavett and some of the legends, but with a modern twist and a modern vibe of today. And if folks enjoyed what we did here today on this episode, I encourage them to give us a thumbs up, like on our YouTube channel, and leave a comment. Subscribe to the YouTube channel as well. Doesn't cost anything. Just hit that subscribe button, spread the word, click the notification bell so you never miss any of our episodes. If you enjoyed Rex Dean as my guest and all the episodes you enjoy here. And this was really a pleasure, my friend. I hope you enjoyed the time with me as much as I have with you.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Jim. This is great. I really appreciate being here. And thank you for being here yourself and all the things we love in common, like beautiful voices and audio and entertainment. So,
absolutely.
Kathleen.
Yeah, these are our lovelies. They've been commenting actually throughout the show. And we've been showing some of these on the screen as well. I'm a very interactive host, so we and they're watching from all around the world. Some of our most active lovelies that like to comment, and we appreciate that, and love them being with us as well. And those who are just watching quietly, this will be archived on our YouTube channel, Jim Masters TV, so you can share the links on social media and all, and celebrate.
Yeah, and likewise, if anyone follows me, I would be most grateful. At Rex Dean or Facebook direct, /Rex Dean.
Takes a village, right?
It does, and I'm grateful for every single fan and I've made some wonderful friends around the world. So.
Spread the word too about our show. If you know other folks you think would like to pop on and experience what we do here, that would be fantastic. Rex, thanks for all the time. We figured we'd chat for an hour. We did almost an hour and a half. Isn't that amazing?
It actually felt like half an hour at the most.
That's what everybody says. It's just conversational. It's not interview-ish. It's more a free-flowing conversation, no pre-prepared questions, just us having a good conversation about Space Baby, of course, which is the theme of this, but life in general. And this was cool. So I wish you the best, and we'll see you again soon, okay? And hopefully if you're on the East Coast or I'm on a shoot or something on the West Coast, we'll connect further.
Absolutely. That'd be great. All right. Well, thanks again, and have a great week, and I'll see you in New Hampshire.
Absolutely. Right. You're going to go to Club Sandwich to see Mr. John Davidson.
I definitely will.
That's it. You be well, Rex. Thanks for being with us on the show. A real pleasure.
Thanks, Jim. Take care.
Cheers. Rex Dean joining us, filmmaker, writer, producer, director, singer, actor. He does it all. Joining us here to celebrate the new film. We say new film because this was actually created 25 years ago, but it's being seen for others' eyes to enjoy for the very first time, which is really something special. And you saw, if you joined us earlier in the show, we showed you a clip, sort of a trailer, and that was really, really cool. And if you missed that, you can see this episode again here on our YouTube channel, Jim Masters TV. These are just some of the scenes and some of the characters that are in the actual movie itself. This has truly been a labor of love. The filmmaker himself, Rex Dean, joining us here, talk about Space Baby, but also talk about his career, his inspirations, his passions, and the things that make him tick as well. That's what we love to do here on the Jim Masters Show Live. Again, if you enjoyed it, give this episode a thumbs up, a like, leave a comment. You can always support our series with a super chat, super emoji, super sticker that is available when the shows are on live in the chat section of the Lovely Hole chat room, or at any time, even when the shows aren't live, there is a heart icon, a little heart icon called Super Thanks that's on our YouTube channel on all the episodes. Click that and you can support all this content and our extensive series, where we're coming up on something like almost 1,000 episodes, which still, that blows me away that we've done so many shows for all of you and you and you and you. Want to let you know that coming up tomorrow, the one and only Lucy Arnaz returns. Our dear friend Lucy Arnaz returns to the Jim Masters Show. She's got a new show at 54 Below. I've Got the Job. And she's going to knock it out of the park. We're going to see her then too as well. But yeah, legendary actress, singer, producer, daughter of Lucille Ball, Desi Arnaz. Lucy Arnaz joining us tomorrow at 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. Coming up on Thursday, we have the acclaimed multi-million selling American pianist Danny Wright joining us here on the show. That's another incredible talent. We're very excited to have Danny here. His music, again, is heard everywhere and has been since the 1980s. It's always playing, and really, really cool to have the incomparable Danny Wright joining us here, all for you on the Jim Masters Show. Again, this is our entertainment lifestyle celebrity talk show series where we're bringing back the lost art of conversation for all of you. We thank you for being with us, gang, and yeah, a smart, clever man indeed. And he's doing so many different things. I agree. And thank you, Kathleen. You enjoy your day as well. And everybody watching. This is your host, Jim Masters. We don't say goodbye around here. We say see you later. Ciao, cheers, hejda, moi loop, avida zain, hasta la vista, sayonara, shalom, slancha, cheerio, take care, be well, love one another, take care of one another. don't forget to take care of yourself. Join us again for another episode of the Jim Masters Show Live series. Reminder, you can see all these episodes archived, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of them on our YouTube channel, Jim Masters TV. And don't forget to share them. You know, you can share the links on your social media as well. And if there are folks you'd like to see on our show as guests, reach out to us. Maybe there's some great folks you'd like to see. Celebrities, they could be celebrities. We've had a lot of celebrity friends stop by. They could be non-celebrities as well. You know, our show has everybody from Broadway and Hollywood, television, film, music, stage, culinary arts, sports, comedy, science and nature, health and wellness, authors. Yeah, we've had psychics. I mean, everybody. We thank Rex Dean for joining us live and direct from Los Angeles, California. Look for Space Baby. Again, spacebaby.com is the website. Cutie patootie there, right? Huh? We thank Rex for being here. And again, we thank all of you for joining us on the show. We'll see you on the next one, okay? This is Jim Masters. Thanks for all the time. We appreciate you being with us. It means the world to us that you watch, you enjoy, you share. You can also find me on social media at Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Jim Masters TV. And of course, our YouTube channel is Jim Masters TV as well. Be well, take care. Cheerio. We'll see you next time. Take care. Cheers.